We were meant to live this life from an overflowing cup. So this means the more happiness we feel, the more we can give that happiness to others around us. Insert any positive trait here. The more wealth we attract to ourselves, the more wealth we can give to others. Being limitless is knowing your success and your growth are built on a radical belief in yourself. Limitless is honoring your purpose, your health, and impact above all else. Limitless is never playing small, because the more alive you feel in your life, the more growth and success you attract. Hi, my name is Jamie Ratermann, and I am a holistic business coach, meaning I am just as invested in growing your health as I am in growing your wealth. With 11 plus years in brand and social media marketing, I help rebellious entrepreneurs master marketing, embody leadership, and say fuck it to the hustle. This show is here to encourage you to become more radically aware of your self-imposed limits, to break free of your shoulds, and to expand your brand into a movement led by you. Hello, lovelies. Welcome to another episode of the Limitless Podcast. I am having a great week. Actually, earlier this week, I did something I had never tried before on Instagram specifically, where I did a live with not just myself, not just one other person, but three, which was something brand new. In general, what it was about was me talking about the different styles of creating and how you get to define it yourself. And I had someone who came in who is a batcher. She loves to batch everything with her content. I had someone come in who is an in-the-moment poster. And then I had someone who was a little bit of both. And being able to have each of their perspectives pop in for a few minutes and to kind of talk about how to own that creative process. It was so much fun. It was so much fun. I think I'll want to do it again. I may like take a look at the audio and see if it's good enough so we can drop it over here on the podcast too, because it was full of beautiful gems. It was full of beautiful gems to use. But either way, I want to talk about something a little bit different today on the podcast. Not too far from what we've talked about before, but I think on Limitless, I've shared a lot about what it means to be an entrepreneur and how to grow as an entrepreneur normally comes as a result of personal growth and being able to see yourself as a leader, as an entrepreneur. I recently had a call with someone being, I don't know if I can call myself an entrepreneur just yet, or even as a business owner, are all ways in which we get to adopt a new identity to expand to our highest potential, essentially. So knowing this, there is one block or limit that repeating can not only stunt your growth as a business, but can actually simultaneously leave you feeling burnt out. And I truly believe that everyone is afflicted by this one, but for many of my A+ students and high achievers, this trait is baked in. We've definitely been given a pattern, and it's within our code if we've been that A+ student. What I'm talking about is not perfectionism, because as I was saying, I'm like, people may think this is perfectionism. What I'm talking about is not perfectionism. It's people pleasing. People pleasing. So yes, people pleasing can cause many issues, which we will get into in just a moment. But let's truly define what people pleasing is. So people pleasing is essentially putting others' happiness or feelings before your own. I want you to sit with that for a moment. People pleasing is letting others enjoy their life more than you get to enjoy your own. That's the idea of it. So in truth, for some, this may seem like a good trait. But at the end of the day, we were meant to live our life from an overfilling cup. I want you to really understand that. We were meant to live this life from an overflowing cup. So this means the more happiness we feel, the more we can give that happiness to others around us. Insert any positive trait here. The more wealth we attract to ourselves, the more wealth we can give to others. The more abundance we feel, the more abundance we see around us. The more trust we see in ourselves, the more trust we can give to others. Essentially, the more we can give to ourselves, the more we can create and see it for others. That is, in my opinion, the golden rule of life. Being able to understand that the more we can nurture who we are, take care of ourselves, the better we can do that for others. So that is the goal of what we're going after. And people pleasing is directly against that, where we decide that we are going to pour from an empty cup, where we are going to decide that even though we're starving or we're thirsty, that we still want to make sure that they're hydrated, that kind of idea. But there is another definition that when I originally was told this during my own people-pleasing releasing journey, let's call it. But when I heard this other definition, it stopped me in my tracks. It was me realizing like, oh, damn, I don't want this. I don't want to be called this. So the other definition here is people-pleasing can be defined as manipulation. Manipulation to try to make others happy so they see you as a different person. The manipulation to try to put others first because you expect the same in return, where they'll drop anything for you. And within that, understanding that if this is the type of people pleasing that you might engage in, that there's likely going to be resentment when they don't put you before them. So this hits a little bit different, right? That in reality, we're trying to manipulate others to look at us a little bit differently than actually how we feel. And within that, being able to there's going to be some type of resentment that comes from it. So when we decide that others' feelings are more important than ours, we create this like stagnant, tense energy in our relationship with them, even if we're not realizing we're doing it. Whether it's how we feel or what we expect from others, there is this block of sorts where we're not truly being ourselves and they're not truly getting to see who we are. But in today's episode, I want you to smoke it out. Essentially, we're going to make sure wherever people pleasing might be coming up in your business, you know where it is, and that we can start to think about how to release that and start to realize that when we identify where people pleasing may be affecting our progress and prosperity, the awareness and choosing differently can make all of the difference. Before we begin, though, I want to make sure that for any of you that are like, yeah, I'm a people pleaser, that you're not coming into this episode going, oh, there's so much wrong with me. Not at all. I want you to stamp that out right now. This does not mean anything about you. Even more, I want you to realize that people pleasing is something that has been ingrained in us since childhood. The fact that we were trying to please our teachers, keep our parents happy, try to fit in general, trying to make sure others were happier before we were, that is something that we've been taught from the get-go. And understanding that the reason why this doesn't work when we decide to run our own businesses is because we are that leader. So just understand this. We've developed some patterns from society, from school, from family, that in general, that if we keep them can cause some troubles for us as entrepreneurs. And we have in general been taught that to be good people, we must be martyrs. You can go back to episode number 1 of Limitless, and I talk all about this. This is the reason why I want you to really understand the limits that we've put on ourselves and are going on around us, that if once we know where they're at, the more we can release them. So keep this in mind. We decided that we would keep our teachers happy by burning the midnight oil. That we would keep our parents happy by choosing the safe job that didn't inspire us, that we have to keep working on for the rest of our lives, right? So the idea of people pleasing, or like where we really develop it is that we've, for a long time in our lives, looked to others for acceptance of ourselves or acceptance of our actions before we decide to own it ourselves, before we decide what our self-worth is, before we decide how we make sure we enjoy our life. So the point I'm trying to make here is this is deep shit. This is not, oh, she's a people pleaser, no big deal. We're talking about deep rooted patterns that we're trying to release here. So today's episode is about awareness first. We're going to be aware of where the people pleasing can be affecting your business, and how by knowing where it's at, we can start to make different choices. So let's go ahead and dive in. Number 1 here, how people pleasing is affecting your business. Let's think about if you are always available. Are you always available to your clients, to your followers, to, in general, your team? This is number 1, knowing that this is a people-pleasing tendency. So I feel like in general, when people are talking about the world today and how there's so many ways to contact and communicate with each other, there's this like implied going like, we always have to be available. Who said? Who said? This is the people pleasing tendency of going, oh, we can be always available, but now I have to exert what kind of availability I will intend to want to have. So, especially for my service-based entrepreneurs, this one is essential to identify. If you fall in this trap when you open your email first thing in the morning, like as soon as you open your eyes, you're on your phone taking a look if someone emailed you, or you're jumping into your DMs as soon as you get that buzz, that notification that you have something waiting for you. So if you're hopping into your DMs as soon as you receive them, you are essentially making a choice that whatever others need from you is more important than what you need at that moment, what you need to get started for the day. So you start the day and you get to decide whatever is in front of you is essentially not important than the needs of what somebody else might be saying. Now, a normal excuse I may hear from clients when I talk about, no, you do not have to answer your email until 11 o'clock. You do not have to open your DMs until, like, you can set a time of when you're going to decide to open your DMs. They'll go, but what if someone wants to buy from me and I'll lose the sale? Or if I don't respond to my team, we're going to totally miss that deadline. Or if I don't immediately respond to my clients, they're going to be unhappy with me and not want to work with me anymore. So all of this comes up, right? It's like this immediate, oh my gosh, I have to be available. What are you talking about? And this is where we're just kind of owning a piece of this. If somebody sincerely wanted to work with you or wanted to buy from you, the difference between waiting an hour or waiting 2 hours to hear a response or waiting a day before getting a response, if they decide they don't want the product, they don't want the service, they never did. So being able to own the fact that, you know what, if someone absolutely wants to work with me, they will also respect that I'm not going to drop everything and get back to them immediately. There's ways in which we can get auto response to all the things. There's technology, there's automation, there's things that we can do to help to make sure we're responding a little more easily. That is true. But for many of my solopreneurs, we don't have to be available. We do not have to be available to make a sale. We do want to be like, okay, I'm going to be available once or twice a day. I'm going to get back. I'm going to have my own rule that I'm going to get back to email. Like any emails I get in the morning, I'll get back to the same day. Or any emails I get in the afternoon, I'm going to get back to the next morning. We can have these kind of goals or rules for ourselves, but that doesn't mean that we have to always have those things open. They're the worst pieces of distraction. I can tell you that much. If you think you're going to be missing a deadline if you don't respond to a team, this is a matter of trust. Trust that if it was really urgent, they would probably text you, email you, try to or really try to get your attention. But also trusting that they can probably handle that problem. They can probably handle it themselves. They just wanted a second opinion. The third piece here is that we set the terms of how our clients hear from us. We set those terms. So whenever you think that because you're not immediately answering a client as they're asking a question, that they're going to be mad at you, you're setting up a resentful pattern that you're giving up any moment of time for them. So I can even talk about this for myself. I have a Voxer chat for all of my one-on-one and my mastermind clients. And within that being like, yes, I will likely get back to you in the same day, but I will not get back. There's going to be times I won't get back to you in the same hour. It's just not going to happen. Even some of them will ask for some content or doc review. And then I go, hey, the rule is if you want that from me, I need at least 3 to 5 days to be able to review it, because I can't drop what I'm doing right now. I would get nothing done. But it's setting that boundary and holding it. But also the point of all of this being here is that, I as a solopreneur or as a small business, you are also not a call center. When you need that level of customer service, you can cross that bridge. But being able to know that always being available is going to kill your business, is going to make you feel burnout and resentful, starting here. So of course, this one is about boundaries, but this is as much a boundary for your clients as it is for yourself. So being able to know, how do I want to start the day? Do I want to start my day answering emails? No. If any of you said yes, I want to ask you to DM me and be like, tell me why you actually want to start your day with emails that has nothing to do with somebody else. But also too, how can you set the standards for how quickly you respond to somebody? So taking a moment to create your day by design, going back to that time management episode, create your day by design to make sure you are nurturing your leader, aka you, first, and then you get to decide what your level of availability gets to be. My clients will vent about how they don't get enough done in a day, but what I've found is that it's not about productivity. We instead drastically underestimate how much time our tasks take and overestimate how many tasks we can actually accomplish in a day's time. Sunsama is a daily planner focused on helping you radically understand and personalize your time management, and it enhances your calm and focus throughout the day. One feature that I'm impressed by is their plan to actual time tool. Sunsama will alert you when you are expecting too much from yourself based on your estimated time, and if you're like me, it will give you a reality check. For example, last week I thought it would take me about an hour to add a few lessons to my marketing mastery course. Joke's on me, it took me 4. It also works with your favorite project management apps like Asana, Trello, and Notion. As a part of Limitless, Sunsama is letting me give you all a 30-day trial, which you can sign up for in the show notes below. Try it out and tell me what you think. Number 2, second piece that where people pleasing can be affecting your business is when you're over discounting or being willing to give too much for less. Now, admittedly, this is an early note, or this is a note to the early version of me in my entrepreneurship journey. So within consulting, I had contracts. It was really easy as far as holding to my price. Like the contract was set. It was a little bit different. With coaching, we have sales calls. It's a little bit different. So if I recorded my first sales calls, like even like thinking about it right now, I can think of the butterflies and just this eagerness to make sure I perfectly fit for them. Or so whomever was on the other end of the phone, I'd be like, what can I give to make sure that they jump in? And that is coming from a place of lack. That is coming from a place of scarcity, desperation. But ultimately, what it's truly about is when we're feeling like, oh, we got to make this sale, we got to do these things, is I got to discount my prices, I got to make this all work, is we are deciding to lower our own worthiness. Because when we set our price, go back to the last episode, when we decide to set our price, we are deciding what our worth is, what our time, our energy, our skill is worth. So by discounting, we are essentially signaling that we don't think we're worth our price. This one is tough. For anyone who's encountered the coupon clipper energy, this is the ultimate test. This is where you get to really see, okay, how has my people-pleasing tendencies shifted when someone is pushing up against my program price, my product price, my services price? So this will come up where where clients will be on a call and someone will be like, oh, this price doesn't work for me. Can you bring it down? And depending on the type of client, depending on what it is, one side of it, let's say it's a group program, like, no, this is the price, and you got to hold it and let it sit there. Versus if it's something that's more of a customizable package, be like, let me get back to you. What is your budget? Let me see if it's something that I could give to you. You're allowed to make adjustments, but the biggest thing is it's not being able to go, oh yeah, sure, I'll bring it down so it works for you. And I'm like, oh yeah, I can add that additional call, or oh yeah, I can give that additional lesson and the additional product. I'll throw that in there too. That energy is people pleasing versus, you know what? I could consider making an adjustment. Let me get back to you. That will allow you to make a empowered decision. This is what discounts, this is what bonuses, this is what these things are about, making empowered decisions to do this. So if I'm launching a new program, yeah, I have every right to discount it. I have every right to add a bonus call, but it's my decision, not something that was manipulated by somebody who would like to get the value of my business, the value of my product for less. So the difference here when it comes to identifying a people-pleasing tendency here is being able to make the empowered decision yourself. So the way you price your products and services is your decision. At the end of the day, it is your decision. You do not want to be influenced to make that change, especially in the moment. giving any discount in any way must come from an empowered and grounded place first. Because you will resent that person who got the reduced price. Like, how many times I'll be like, yeah, I'm helping this client. She asked a lot from me and I gave her a discounted price. So I'm just feeling a certain way. That happens so often. And this is where I go back to what I was saying before. Once you do these people pleasing, there's this tense, odd energy that continues because you please them instead of yourself first. So taking a moment, realizing that if you have a tendency to discount quickly, to give easy discounts, maybe this is where we take our power back. Maybe this is where we go, oh, no, this is my decision. I'm allowed to say no. I'm also allowed to take a moment before I decide if I want to give a discount here. The next piece of where people pleasing is, I see the most really, is not sticking to your time boundaries. This one is for entrepreneurs who have said, I just can't do more than serve my clients right now. I got so much to do for my clients. I got to do all these things. I get this one a lot whenever we're in the time blocking lesson of marketing mastery. So again, we're designing your workday around your best focus and productivity. That can feel like a rebellious act because usually it means that we're prioritizing you over your clients, which is crazy, right? No, it's not crazy, but you get what I'm saying. Even so, many entrepreneurs will set that first 2 hours of their day to be their time, to be their creative time, their content creation time, their program building time, whatever it might be. They've decided, okay, I'm going to have 2 uninterrupted hours before I begin my workday. But somehow, on a regular basis, that block gets ignored. To answer clients right away, to do DMs, to in general work on client projects, that somehow always is the one that gets ignored, but everything else stays in place. This is a sign. This is a sign that like when you notice that this happens, you can make a different choice. Because if you are deciding to work for others instead of work for yourself, your business is going to be impacted. And even too, I love to kind of talk about this. To be able to have a mindset switch here, serving your current clients is one thing. By raising your visibility and by paying attention to how to build your own business, your own marketing, you are serving your future clients in its own way. Because the more visible you are, the more likely people are coming in your door. The more you add those lessons, add those things to your programs, to your products, to your services, you're going to be able to bring in more clients. So being able to say, okay, no, if I focus my attention on my own business, I'm serving my future clients. That can be that mindset switch until you can own, be like, no, this is for me. This is how I want to feel in my business, whatever that might look like. So really understanding that if you are looking at your time right now and realizing that it is being given completely to your current clients, this is a sign for you to go like, how do I take that time back so that I'm intentionally building it within myself? So by defining a time that is yours and keeping it, you are beginning a journey of self-trust through these small acts. Another piece is being modest in the results that your product provides. And even within that, devaluing your level of leadership. So this one came up recently during a marketing mastery call, and I really want to bring it up because I think it's something that is important. So whenever we are a business in any way, shape, or form, product, service, coach, program, any of the above, we want to make some type of impact. We're trying to uplift someone's life, especially I believe I mostly speak to heart-centered entrepreneurs when I am recording this podcast. So not owning the results that your offer provides because it would take away from what the client did themselves, this is people pleasing. That is a version of people pleasing. So your hard work, once purchased and used, amplifies others. Absolutely. Especially as a coach, my work is not to create your business for you at all. Mine is to give you methods, to hold you accountable, to allow you to see yourself so that the business you want to build is easier, is faster, and is bolder. So my job is to allow you to see and execute the business you want to create. But knowing within that, once we work together, I have the right to own a piece of our partnership. You did the things. I helped you get there. I'm allowed to do that for the fact that I am invested in you, just like you invest in me. And I want my clients to see that as well. So think about how this plays out whenever we're talking about this online. So when there's a post or an email about sharing the results of a client, you get to take a part of that. So how I helped my client hit 10K. Yeah, you get to take a part of that. How I helped my client go from confused to confident in one energy session. How my client stopped being a people pleaser and starting leading with gusto with my help. That last one is my wish for you, clearly from this episode. Or even I want to another example just for products here. How my skin went from dull to glowing in 10 days. And you can talk about the skincare regimen that your products provide. All of these things are owning a piece of the process that you are giving to a client and not feeling as if you're taking away anything from them. Essentially, we're partnering with someone to help them build their lifestyle that they want. This is what it's about. So by owning your part of the process, you are not taking away anything. Staying right there. You're not taking away anything from the customer service, but you are owning more of who you are. In truth, you are applauding their hard work and your partnership together. So being modest about it or not sharing it at all is deciding that only others can celebrate you instead of you getting to tell your story. So as heart-centered entrepreneurs, our mission is to make an impact. And there is nobody better to share that mission than us. But we have to release modesty, be bolder. Even just to kind of end this one here, I remember the first time I said, I am fantastic at what I do. I said that on my Instagram stories. I remember that perfectly. I remember feeling ick about it. I remember feeling, oh my God. But I remember also believing it wholeheartedly. Going, I absolutely create the results I say. I absolutely help clients see themselves in a new way. I absolutely have built brands and with the help of people who are so passionate about them. When I said that I owned that process and I was immodest about it, gumption, gusto, whatever words you want to use, it was like one more area where people pleasing is going to affect the growth of your business is if you tend to stay in a cookie cutter style of content. So I've definitely had my moments with this one, similar to the episode where I'm telling you why it's not important or why it's not enough to be just an expert. It's easy to start as an expert whenever you're coming into your content. So you decide to share tips, tricks, all the things related to the topics that you know that people might be coming to you for instead of something more. So when I made my switch from consulting to coaching, I started to just share a lot of these strategies that I've implemented for brands and businesses. I started to share tips and stories about tools and less about what I truly thought. And even more, a caveat here is that I absolutely hate it when someone calls me a social media guru. There is no such thing as a social media guru. There's no such thing. Anyone who calls themselves that, just run, because social media is essentially a tool that reacts to human behavior every single day. So if you want to call me a human behavior scientist, I will take that. But I'm like this idea that someone who's always going to know how social media works, it's not true because it's always something that's in adaptation, but just putting that out there. But that's me immediately saying I hate when people call themselves that. That's what I truly think. But this is also too where you get to start banishing your people pleasing by sharing what you are for and what you are against. So we aren't talking politics here. That's not what I'm talking about. I mean, if you want to, you can. But the idea is we can have a stance. We can have an opinion about our industry, about certain things, and allow that to be something that is a part of us, that we stand for. So I'm going to ask you to think about the things in your industry that are being shared that really grind your gears. You're like, oh, God, another one. One of the things that grinded my gears for the first couple of years was how many times I saw people put up posting quotas. It drove me insane. But I would just be like, yeah, you should post 5 times a week and you should do this and you should do that. And I would never come in and be like, here's what it's truly about. You got to show up every week. You get to define that number. Do not let someone tell you that it's 7, that if it's not 7, it's not enough. Like I hate that. I hated that. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to just keep with what everyone else is saying because it's fine and what that looks like. And even though I could see the overwhelm on my client's face, even though from my personal and client experience, I knew that this information was shit, I would be like, okay, but let's not ruffle feathers. We're going to stay right where we're at. And that seems like such a small thing, right? But the fact that I knew it was BS from experience and didn't ruffle feathers by saying what was my truth, this is the problem. This is people pleasing in action. So a common excuse is when I tell someone, okay, if that's how you feel, say that. Say that that's the standard, that's your standard of coaching, your standard of how you implement this strategy. But a common excuse will be, well, that could only be true for me. What if someone disagrees with me? So clearly, this is where conflict is coming into play. So what if someone does? What if someone does disagree with you? Then you could have a discussion about it. Then you could maybe build a community where you realize that you encourage people to cultivate conversation, not just listen to you on your soapbox. Or you can really be defined more as a leader because they know what you're for and what you're against. What if you decided, even though someone might disagree with it, this is where you're standing up for yourself? So a great example of this was a client of mine who wanted to share something that was absolutely true for her, was kind of taking a step back. So she wanted to share that a breakup or a divorce can be the best soil for personal growth. And for her, she had helped countless clients who agreed to this after working with her. But saying it out loud to others was really scary. It was just scary. But understanding that fear was coming from, she wanted to people please in her presence, even though her online presence, even though she knew this wasn't true. So taking a step not to be a people pleaser, she did that crazy thing and shared it. She said it out loud. She put it in a video. She put it online. Wow, did that post go viral? 80% of the people who responded to that post were completely agreeing and so thankful that somebody said it. There was 20% of them disagreeing. With that 20%, many of them she could respond to easily and have a regular discussion about it. 5% though, they were unnecessary comments. And I talked about this a little bit with like how to handle haters. That 5% didn't get to stick around, being able to know that you have that right. But being able to know the fact that she stood up like that, she got to see people being able to, like, I feel seen, I feel heard. Thank you for saying this. The courage to do that was, one, realizing that she decided not to let the threat of conflict stop her from sharing what she knows what's of value, but also being able to show she's more of an expert than just the tips and tricks person. She's being able to give personal and client experience of what others may be feeling. So your ability to handle conflict is definitely a lesson on this path of releasing people pleasing. And you can start now. Start now by taking a moment and go, what is that one piece of content that you have not shared or have not even started yet, but it's been burning. So you've been wanting to say, because you think it could ruffle some feathers. You think it's going to ruffle a few feathers. So this isn't about calling people out. I want to be very clear. When I say defining what you're for and what you're against, you're not going, oh, I'm for me and I'm against this person. It's being able to say you're for a certain concept. And being able to understand and like be strong in your opinion, you can have you may ruffle feathers, you may have a ripple effect, but making sure you feel strong. And the reason why you want to share this, because you know it's going to impact people in a good way. That is what the goal is here. That is what it's about. Instead of just going, I'm just going to stay in the middle and not try to affect too many people. So this is where I'm asking you to break from the mold. This is where I'm asking you to be your own person, to be your own brand. To be a brand is to really understand what edges you're ready to push of yourself and be a little louder in that way. So there are many ways I've seen people pleasing slow entrepreneurs' growth. We're sharing a couple of them here today. And the point of this episode was to allow you to see it for yourself. So allow you to see where, if you weren't aware before, this is people pleasing in action. People pleasing in action is always being available. People pleasing in action is discounting your prices because someone is kind of manipulating you or influencing you to do so. It is deciding not to own the value of what you provide, the results that you provide within your offers. It is you deciding to always put others on top of your to-do list instead of the things that would build your business. And finally, it is staying in the middle when it comes to content, and instead of putting out what you truly stand for and what you're against. So it is not easy for us to just say, okay, whatever. Like I'm going to stop people pleasing people today. That's not true. Like I said at the beginning of this episode, these are patterns that have been built into us since childhood. They're not going to be something we just snap our fingers and get rid of. Thank you, subconscious mind. Ugh. Thank you, subconscious. But the first step is awareness. You are aware of where it's happening. You can see it, and now you can go against it. Even for many of you, if you hit, bingo, you had all 5 of what I mentioned here that is slowing you down, choose one and decide, okay, each and every time I come into this interaction, I'm going to choose differently. You are being rebellious against your people-pleasing tendency. Believe me, as a Midwesterner first, I'm a New Yorker of 12 years, but as a Midwesterner for 18, wait, maybe more than that. I need to do my math. But as a Midwesterner first, I came to New York City saying 30 plus unnecessary sorries a day, letting others take credit for my work, thinking that they would repay me in the future, and allowing others to make decisions for me, even though I didn't want to do those things. Anything from dinner dates to like making adjustments to strategies to deciding what clothes I would like. There was so many ways I would just let others make choices for me, even though it made me feel like crap. So this is me being able to own that and bring that back and see how powerful I can feel, how much belief in myself I have when I release people pleasing. I even love to read my old journals and realize how much I've changed. If for any of you who doesn't love to journal in general, having your future self get to look and read back on them is all by itself a lovely thing. But the goal here, once you're aware, choose differently. That's all we're doing here. Awareness, and let's start to just choose differently. So for me, that the sorries, I would be like, can I just take a deep breath instead of saying sorry when I accidentally bump somebody, or when I aren't as quick as somebody would like it to be, or when I write an email and I start it with I'm so sorry, and then I reread it and go like, how do I remove the sorry from this properly? I don't have to apologize here. That was the small way I was like, we're not going to people please here. We're going to release this. So I get to do this a lot more with my mastermind clients because, like I said, when we're trying to deconstruct a pattern, having a longer time and being able to do life and business together really helps. So the mastermind is, of course, about scaling your business and being able to do that. But I get to do life and business together. So we unearth these patterns. We hold each other accountable on the day-to-day. And I'm going to drop a link at the end of this episode or within the show notes here so that whenever if you're thinking about having this level of support, wanting to release these patterns, the Thrive Mastermind could absolutely get you there. So I'm opening up spots in June, and there's some bonuses now to sign up. But by all means, if you would like this kind of support, go ahead and take a look at the show notes here, and I'd love for you to join. I think I want to make this into a 2-parter because I got to share a lot about where it's affecting your business, but also how and what to do to start to deconstructing your people-pleasing tendencies. Stay tuned. Stay tuned for part 2, because I'll make sure that we talk about how to overcome these. But until then, live a little more limitless.